Greetings, it is I, Tantus Naravan Dracovin, Lord and Emperor of the Dracovin Empire, and welcome. It is time to continue our discussion on the 5th edition of Dungeons & Dragons, 5th edition D&D. We were talking about some of the basics of game mastering last time, and now we're going to bring in an important aspect to discuss, the multiverse. Because this is very important because when your characters are getting high enough level, they might want to dive into the mystery and interesting places and kind of different worlds and dimensions they could visit in the other planes. It might become relevant to the storyline, or it could just be something because they can go there, that they're getting powerful enough, they want to seek it out and quest for it. That becomes an option later on, and there is this sort of spiritual and elemental natures to the other planes themselves. For example, the outer planes where angels and demons and deities roam, where they're aligned with the various alignments, or the inner planes where it's fire, water, earth, and air mixing together to form the elemental natures of the very universe. And then you get to the material plane where the characters are going to be from, where it is the nexus of all of these energies and the nexus of this multiverse, this very universe of planes and dimensions. Now, there is a basic structure to this that you want to talk about, and grouping them is very important. The first group is, of course, the material plane and its echoes, the Shadowfell and the Feywild. These are sort of the center of this entire kind of cosmology. Now from there you move on to the transitive planes because they are important. The astral and ethereal planes, they are the sort of glue that binds these all together. They are the place where you would go to travel in between these planes. Whether you're spending mere seconds there or large periods of time when traveling in between it, you technically touch upon those when you're going into planar travel. Of course, then you get into the inner planes and the outer planes, like I mentioned it, with 4 inner planes and 16 outer planes. Kind of reflecting shades of alignments, kind of pointing towards different aspects of them. Sort of going more than just north, south, east, west. It's sort of north, northeast kind of idea of that, where you have this kind of shading in between them. Of course, then, beyond all these, you have the positive and negative energy planes where the forces of life and death exist and permeate everything. Now, once you're if you're in your game world, you don't have to stick with the traditional cosmology. You can either rearrange this cosmology in a way that would be suitable for yourself or build one from this ground up. You do not even need to include all these planes. It's just suggested that you do because they form this basic cohesion of a sort of idea of a multiverse and a cosmology, which is very important. There are a number of questions. I'm not going to run down all of them. You can look them up in your book if you're building your own cosmology that you have to answer when you're building your own. If you cannot answer these questions, you have not built a cohesive cosmology that your players can interact with, especially if you're customizing your own and not using the basic provided. It is important to do these because they answer a lot of questions about like where you go when you die. Where are the forces of like angels and demons and devils positioned, and how are they positioned in this universe? It is critical because things may come up revolving them that it would be important then. And you want to craft the world in case these characters that you're building will go there. You want to be ready for it. Now, the book does provide a list of custom cosmologies different from the basic one that it was provided in the player's handbook, which is the one I am also talking about here. I talked about the planes. I talked vaguely about how they're arranged. And they are arranged in the circle, which was shown in the player's handbook, but these are alternate ways of looking at them. Alternate cosmology, custom versions of them that you can either use, and you could alter them a little bit either, or build one on your own that would make up the cosmological structure of your universe. Now, because you're building this, you have to think about what your characters are to the point in time when they're traveling in between planes. There are a number of ways to do it. The first off is portals. Portals to another plane, which when you're talking about portals, I'm talking about a stationary location that has one connection from one plane to another, so if I step through it, I'm in the other plane. It should be in some kind of location and time. It should reflect whatever place you're going into. So like might dark and evil looking if you're going to the 9 hells. On the other hand, it might be bright and sunny and covered in forest and stuff if you're going, maybe made of stone if you're going to the 7 mountains of Celestia. It depends on where you're going. Swirling vortex of water if you're going to the plane of water. Now, when you find a portal and it's there and active, it's as easy as walking through it to go to another plane. It connects directly from your location here to some location on that plane, and it will always be the same connection from A to B. There are some intrinsic problems with using these. First off, you gotta find the portal. Where the heck is it? That's the major one that you're going to have to deal with. Second, are there any guardians for it? Anything you'll have to deal with, like either actually deal with or kill or something of the similar in order to enter in said portal. The last one, which is the most important one, is when is it open? How is it open? That breaks down into a lot of different questions. Is it at certain points in time is it open? Like with the full moon or every 10 days? Is it just random that you never know when it's going to be open? Is there some kind of situation that has to be met, like a certain sunlight at a certain point in time that is not normally met, that it just happens and it opens up? Is there some kind of command word you have to say and then it would open up? Is there like a special kind of key that you need to open it up? Learning how to open these could be an adventure in and of itself. So it's not only am I questing for this portal, I'm questing to how to use this portal. I'm questing for the materials I need to use this portal. Then I could access it and worry about the other two questions. Well, worry about the other question of who's guarding it and possibly get in finally into the plane I'm trying to go into. Now, there is another way. Magic. Oftentimes very powerful magic. There are two common spells that most likely most people are going to use. Plane Shift and Gate. Now, there are a number of other spells, but most of them say a specific plane they will take you to. Some shadow magic will take you to the plane of shadows, Shadowfell. Things like that make it more specific and unique, yeah, they exist. But we want to talk about the two common ones you're most likely going to use. Plane Shift. Now, Plane Shift does have some disadvantages. It is a much lower level spell than the other one, Gate. But first off, it has a material component that you have to meet. That's relatively expensive. Second off, it's random. I cast Plane Shift. I don't know where I end up in the plane, unless I specifically have gained enough information to sort of envision and figure out a specific location. Similar to knowing about a place you've never been to in Teleport, or if you maybe know about the place already. Like if you had already come to a place in plane shifting, you could probably plane shift back to there. It's not guaranteed, but it's a lot easier once you know where you're going. Otherwise, it's just random chance and luck. Now, on the other hand, there's Gate. Gate is far more powerful and far more reliable. Gate takes you to where you want to be, takes you to a specific location, takes you there. Period. End of story. Good to go. Golden. The problem with Gate is it is a 9th level spell. It's a very powerful spell, and you're going to be high level before you're going to even think about having it. So that's it for today. I talked about the basics of the multiverse and building your own cosmology using the information about the various places and planes in said multiverse, and how you should look to how they be arranged and important for your cosmology. Then I talked about traveling to these planes with the two main ways, portaling and, of course, using spells such as Plane Shift or Gate. In the next one, I'm going to dive more into the astral and ethereal plane, the two transitive planes, which are very important to know about, because they're the traveling way between the planes. So if you have questions, comments, anything you say, anything you think I left out, please leave in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Show support for the channel, the Empire, and the work I do. If you want to show more support, you can always check out my Patreon, linked in the description below. But regardless, until the next time, I bid you farewell.